Hello, I'm Mark, and I'd like to talk a bit about my experience with the Phonak Audéo Paradise 90R rechargeable hearing aids. I'm hoping that my comments might be particularly helpful to individuals who would like to know more about how the technology has changed in the past 10 years, as well as musicians, and that includes those of you who just enjoy listening to music. First, allow me to give a bit of background about myself because it relates directly and specifically to hearing. I've spent more than 50 years of my life in music. I've been a professional musician performing across a wide variety of styles. I've been a conductor of bands and orchestras. And for more than 30 years, I've served as professor of music at a large state university where I primarily taught courses in music history and carried out research into various aspects of music listening. I'm extremely grateful for my career in music, but I also have no doubt that it is largely responsible for my significant hearing loss. 10 years ago, I reluctantly accepted the fact that my loss of hearing was a problem that had to be addressed. Accepting hearing loss can be difficult for many people, but I would argue that it's especially difficult, even embarrassing, for musicians. By this time, my wife had learned to accommodate me by speaking louder than normal and over-enunciating her consonants. But in the classroom, I was struggling. College-age students often speak very softly, and they certainly don't over-enunciate. I found myself avoiding asking questions in class because I knew that in too many cases I wouldn't be able to decipher the answers. Not a good thing at all. Social situations were also nightmarish. So I made an appointment with a doctor of audiology within the university medical system, and after comprehensive testing, I learned that my hearing loss was even more profound than I imagined, especially in the upper register of hearing. So it was time for me to invest in hearing aids. Because of my circumstances, I gravitated towards models near the top end of various product lines, even though the prices were shocking. In the end, the audiologist recommended the Phonak Audéo S Smart 1X, and I accepted that because I had come to have a great deal of trust in her professional knowledge and judgment. Now that said, I was not a good patient. I didn't like wearing the aids, and I had difficulty accepting that the world had ever sounded to me like what I was hearing through those aids. I wore them only when teaching and in certain social situations, and I was always a bit disappointed with the performance. As a result, on average, the hearing aids were in my ears less than 2 hours a day. None of this, of course, was the fault of the audiologist. I now recognize that I had unrealistic expectations about how much my hearing would return to normal with aids, especially with what I had thought was a top-end model. More than 9 years later, about 8 months ago, I became convinced by the positive experience of friends who are using more recent models of hearing aids to invest in a new pair for myself, even though my old Phonacs were still functional. So, have I found my new hearing aids to be an improvement over the previous pair? Here's the bottom line. Over the past 8 months, my average use has been 15.4 hours a day, which is more than my weekly average with the older pair. I simply enjoy wearing them. They have become integrated into my everyday life. And what caused this difference? Well, I'm convinced that the technology has simply caught up with my expectations of 10 years ago. Here are the new Phonaks that I have, and you can see they're a traditional behind-the-ear model. Why do I enjoy them so much? Well, the older pair often seem to have a background of soft white noise like a kind of sonic haze. Not so with this new pair. Sounds are more defined and the background is much cleaner. I don't have to work as hard at hearing. Music listening is also more enjoyable. Sounds are more real and convincing, and the distortion of high register pitches coming from instruments such as the piccolo and the violin and guitar, those distortions are gone. But as important as improved hearing is, and of course hearing enhancement is the sum and substance of hearing aids, it's not the only reason I enjoy putting on these new Phonaks every morning. The Bluetooth connectivity, along with the Phonak application on my phone, are wonderful. I can answer and hang up on phone calls just by tapping the side of my head, and hearing phone conversation through my aids has made that method of communication pleasant for me again. I do a lot of road cycling, and I don't miss having to stop my bike, dismount, and dig out my phone whenever I need to take a call. I also like hearing the tones that signal a new text message or email has arrived. I listen a lot to music and news clips every morning, and it's great to hear the audio without having to disturb anyone else. I enjoy watching the streaming TV and movies on my phone, and the sound coming clearly into my ears is a pleasure. The phone app offers a number of programs to select from for specific situations: listening to music, watching television, conversation in restaurants. But I would guess that most wearers will find that the built-in AutoSense program accommodates their every needs quite adequately. And although I'm not an audiologist, I know what works best for me. So I really appreciate that I now have the ability to design and tinker with my own programs for various listening situations. So here's another bottom line. For me, this advanced technology built into the hearing aids has turned what was an inconvenience into a real convenience. And speaking of convenience, I love the recharging unit. It's easy to use and quick to charge. I would never want to return to batteries. Finally, let me address my experience purchasing hearing aids online. The company agents I dealt with on the phone and by email were knowledgeable and friendly. It was really first-class stuff. The hearing professional they connected me with as a local liaison was also very helpful. I've been back to him several times for adjustments or questions, and I've never been charged. He even came in on a non-work day once when I needed quick assistance. His office and equipment were definitely modest compared to the university clinic I visited for my first hearing aids, but I was very satisfied overall with his service and product knowledge. So here is my final bottom line. These Phonak Audéo Paradise 90 hearing aids, rechargeable with the advanced technology and superior performance, ended up costing me several $1,000s less than the Phonaks I purchased at the clinic 10 years ago. And let me offer up just one final piece of advice. And it won't be surprising given what I've already talked about. When you purchase hearing aids, consider investing in models with all the technology you are able to afford. I don't think you'll regret it.